Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Collector's Thoughts. I'm your host, Respawn Granted. As always, I'm my co-host, Real Batman. Today's episode, we're talking about the McFarlane DC multiverse line. We both have a lot to say, and I figured we'd probably start off with the good. But first of all, how you doing, man?
Doing good, doing good.
Yeah,
It was a good week.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a good week. I got you this Laurie Strode that you couldn't find.
Yep.
Nice pickup for you on that one.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what collectors do. We help each other out.
That's right. That's right.
We don't scalp shit.
True, it's true. Yeah, and for me, I personally, I started watching the Michael Jordan, Last Dance documentary, and it is good, man. It is good. I do like the Bulls, and I like Jordan even more now after watching. I'm about 5.5 episodes in, dude. It is good.
Oh yeah, I've seen all the episodes, and you're in for a treat for the rest of the episodes. I'll tell you that.
Oh, I can't wait, dude. I can't wait. But anyway, so like we said at the beginning, we wanted to talk about McFarlane and his DC line. And I know you personally have a lot to say about it, so why don't you start us off, dude?
Well, let's go all the way to the beginning when we found out in 2019. I think it was September of last year that Mattel was finally going to lose the license. Held on to it way longer than they should have. I'm not going to sit here and spend the whole episode bashing Mattel, but they kind of earned those stripes, in my opinion, by not listening to people, not listening to the consumer, not giving a crap about the distribution problems. They just they were very inconsistent with their product, distributions, everything, all of the above. And I remember when that news broke, I personally was happy, and I'm sure a lot of people were, because a lot of people were fed up with Mattel. It was kind of like split on social media. Like everybody was saying, Hasbro, we want Hasbro to get it. And then other people, it was like split. They wanted NECA to get the license. And I was fine with either one. Yeah, I didn't think Hasbro would get it because I think that's too much for them. But then the news broke that McFarlane would get it. And there's been a lot of I watched a lot of people comment on this, and I'm chuckling because they've used words like controversial decisions. Let's get something out of the way right now. It's my opinion, and I want to hear what you have to say about it, and comment in the thoughts what you think below. But choosing the scale of a figure is not controversial. That's a little over the top, in my opinion. I think that's ridiculous. But what's more ridiculous is that people continue to ask, when can you make a 6-inch line? It wasn't his decision. If you watch the interview that Ty Butler did with Unparalleled Universe on their live stream, which was a long interview. It was over 2 hours long. He is the photographer at McFarlane Toys, and he also is in charge of character selection for the DC line. A lot of people were asking a lot of good questions, mainly positive, not really much negative at all. But the question that kept coming up was, when are you guys going to be able to make 6-inch figures? And he's like, that really wasn't our decision. We didn't choose to not make them. So it wasn't our choice. That's probably most likely for them to say that. That's what was in the license. He can't make 6-inch scale figures. So that to me is an unfair criticism. Look, if you like 6-inch figures and that's mainly what you collect, I feel for you. I get it. That's what Mattel gave you. That's the scale that you like. But to bash him for that, I think is a little bit unfair.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. A lot of these figures, a lot of these licensing, they have rules that they have to follow. They can't just do whatever they want. So I'm sure McFarlane would have liked to have done some 6-inch figures, but he can't. It's not in the agreement that he made. And going back to what you had said earlier, when McFarlane did pick up the line, I was excited because I personally really like how the guy designs capes, especially because he's done it before with Spawn. He does a great job, and the guy does, in my opinion, does a really good job of bringing like artwork from the pages onto an action figure form. I know some people have criticized like the articulation of the figures and stuff like that. I don't personally know because I've never really taken McFarlane's out of the packages. I've always kept them in the box, the packages, because they always have the nice window on them. They usually have nice packaging with the plastic on it, pretty sturdy. So I usually just leave them in there. But I have heard people criticize the articulation of with older figures. But you know, that being said, like you had said, also some people were hoping for Hasbro. Hasbro already has the Marvel license, and they're doing great work with it. But they have that license now. For them to take on Batman and DC World, that in my opinion, I think that is asking for a lot from one company. If you're asking for them to do, you know, really good but cheap Marvel figures, and now also would be DC as well. And that, I mean, maybe they can do it. I don't know, but that might be too much. And I think having another party do it is great. I know for me personally, that's the first time I've been excited for a DC action figure in a long time. Because when Mattel had them, I never really cared. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I've walked by them in the aisle many times, and I was just not fazed by them. I was never intrigued to pick them up. I would look at them and be like, oh, that's a cool toy, and then walk away. I never really bought them. You know what I mean? That was pretty much my personal experience as far as Mattel having the license. And then once McFarlane picked it up, it piqued my interest because I used to love the sports figures just like you did. You know, we have a whole bunch of the old sports, the starting lineup picks, I think they were called, or something like that. Well, no, not starting lineups. I'm sorry, that was the old school ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the one that took over after them. But the sports picks, he did a great job with those. So once I heard he was picking up the DC line, first thing I thought of was, I can't wait to see what this guy does with Batman. I want to see a Batman. And dude, he delivered. I think the first line, you had the animated Batman, the Detective Batman. You had the Superman, both the comic and the animated one. And then what would you have? Green Arrow? Right? No, Green Lantern.
Green Lantern.
And
Yep.
there was another one.
You had Harley Quinn.
That's right.
You had the Unchained Armored Superman, the Hellbat, the Laughing Batman, Nightwing, and Batgirl.
Yes, and the Joker too, right? Didn't they have the? Oh no, the Arkham Joker was after. That was part of the second one, right?
And the Green Arrow from the TV series.
That's right. So right there, just that lineup you just said, okay, there's a nice diverse group right there. You know what I mean? You get 2 Batmans, 2 Supermans, a Green Arrow, but they're all from different things: cartoon, show, comic, whatever. And then the second wave, or part of the second wave anyway, you had the Arkham Batman and Joker, which looked phenomenal. Right? And then he's got the White Knight ones that recently popped in the stores. You got the White Knight Joker, White Knight Batman, and Azrael, right? Yeah. They look fantastic. Dude, they look fantastic. The Batman Who Laughs, that's another one I never really cared for, but it looks great. They look really, and then the new series that's coming up, looks amazing too. Dude, tell us, what's coming? You know, you were the one texting me all about it.
Listen, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna back up a little bit. The one thing people have to understand is Mattel had the master license. Okay, this license, the way it worked out, Spin Master has part of the license. McFarlane has the multiverse, which is probably why it ended up being he couldn't do the 6-inch scale. I don't know why, because I haven't seen a 6-inch scale figure from Spin Master yet. But maybe they will be doing it. I don't know. So when you get shared licenses, it gets tricky, especially the way that they did it. So I'm going to say, if you want to blame anybody for the scale of the figure, put it on the shoulders that it belongs, which is Warner Brothers and DC, because they're the ones that pretty much said, look, here, you're going to take the multiverse line, but you can't make 6-inch scale figures, which I don't even understand why they would do that, because one company is geared more towards kids, the other one's geared towards collectors, right? So I think we got that covered. Now, in terms of the wave, when it first hit, it was rushed. McFarlane admitted it as much, that he rushed that line. He felt like he needed to get something out right at the beginning of the year. And there are things that could have been better with those figures. And we can all agree with that. I've watched a lot of reviews where people were really harsh with some of those figures. Like the Detective Batman, the arm, it looks like he's missing like a whole part of the muscle. And that's a fair criticism on that figure. The other one is the ball peg on the wrists. They're kind of like an eyesore on the ankles as well. He could do something about that. Even in the newer waves, he still hasn't addressed that. But here's the thing. As a collector, all you can ask for is that when a consumer speaks and says, look, we want better articulation. We want better sculpt, because some of the ones in the first wave, the lower torso and the upper torso weren't really aesthetically pleasing because the lower torso and the upper torso, they didn't look right. It just didn't look right. But that said, for a line that was rushed, it's still better than anything that Mattel gave us for a decade plus. You know what I mean? So, yeah, first attempt, rushed, first attempt, still better. They feel better in here. They look better. They're sculpted better. They're painted better. Now, as far as the new wave that's hitting this fall, that is unbelievable. And that right there speaks to what I just said. When you look at the first line, and then you look at the Wonder Woman, which the one in the gold armor is probably a little bit better than the regular suited Wonder Woman. She was kind of like another one of those bleh. He kind of messed that one up, I'm not going to lie. But then you look at the Arkham Asylum Batman, Arkham Asylum Joker, step in the right direction. Then they released the White Knight series. Further step in the right direction. Then you look at the ones that they're coming out this fall with. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to try to pull up the pics right now while we're talking, because they're listening to the fans. The way that they hid the cut in the upper torso, you could barely, it's almost like seamless. So when I looked at that, I said, wow, the articulation is going to be bad. But then when I watched that interview with Ty that he did with Unparalleled Universe, he had most of the samples on hand. So not only is the articulation cut really like almost not visible, but the figures, the articulation is incredible on them. And to me, that's all you can ask for as a fan, because let's be honest, Mattel never listened to anybody. They didn't care. They didn't care what people said. And it was pretty bad. And I think that if you're going to be fair across the board. Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to see these. I'll try to get these to, if you can see these.
I can see it.
Like, look at that.
Yeah. That's
Where, look at the torso. Where's the break in the upper torso and the lower torso? Can you barely make that out? Double jointed elbows, which was a lot of people were complaining about in the first series.
Yeah.
He has double jointed elbows. Look at that. The Arkham Knight Batman, the Deathstroke. Yep. He had those on hand. Sick articulation. Look at that Red Hood and look at that Nightwing. Yep. Okay. Look at those.
Yeah, those are messed up, man.
You know, and then you look at that. A lot of people complain about the first Superman was he had single jointed elbows. Well, that one's got double jointed elbows. So bottom line is he's listening to the consumer. The product is getting better. I think that the DC license is in good hands. And if you don't like the scale, then don't buy the product. I mean, but there are people coming around that originally didn't want anything to do with it. But when they saw that wave that I just showed you, they were like, you know what? I really don't like that scale, but I got to get that figure. And I got to get that figure. So they're starting to come around. But the thing that I don't get, and this is what I think that it is unfair, for all the ones that wanted NECA to get, and again, I love NECA. You love NECA. We've had our things about the scalpers, but well, they make 7-inch scale figures. And I've even actually gone back and forth with some people on social media where they're like, well, I just don't like McFarlane and I'm just going to go with the DC Essential line. So let me get this straight. You're going to go with a line that's the same scale as the McFarlane that you're complaining about. It's $3 to $5 more per figure, comes with absolutely jack crap in there, no accessories whatsoever, and you're going to pay $23 to $25. I don't understand that. If it's the same scale, comes with nothing at all. It's just a figure, no extra hands. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll get a Batman that comes with one Batarang, and it's like $5 more. come on, people. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but let's be reasonable. NECA makes 7-inch figures. DC Essential makes 7-inch figures. Both of them are more money. I absolutely can't even believe that McFarlane's able to make the figures that he's making at the same price point that Mattel was making them at. And there's no, in my opinion, they're not even close. They're not.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like I said, dude, when Mattel had the license, I didn't really care. I wasn't following them much. I wasn't picking up, DC figures or anything like that. Really, I didn't really care. And then McFarlane brought the interest back to me, where I actually am interested to see what's coming out next in the DC line for the figures. And dude, I don't know. I mean, I like them personally. I mean, like, once again, I don't take them out, so I can't speak of like how they move and stuff like that, the articulation and all that. I don't know. I can't speak on that. I keep them in the package because I like how McFarlane makes the packages for the figures. He makes them appealing to the eye. He makes them where they can, be on a shelf or whatever and look good. And they're safe in there. So I just keep them in there. So if there is a problem with articulation or it breaks easy or whatever, then it is, then that's how people feel about it. You've opened them, right? If I'm not mistaken, don't you have some of them set up? Have you noticed any problems?
I haven't had any problems. Look, every company, whether it's the high-end companies, whether it's Mesco, you're gonna get some figures that just break. It doesn't matter. Like, once in a while, you're just gonna get joints that are seized up, and if you don't heat them up, they're gonna break. I've taken every single one. I have every single figure besides the Green Arrow from the first series. Every single figure that has come out, I've taken them all out. I've moved everything around. I haven't had to heat up anything NECA, not a single joint on any of these figures. So no, I mean, I think what people were complaining about was the wrist pegs, the ball joint. It's pretty visible on some figures. Some of the bigger figures, they tend to hide better. And on the ankle joints, it is a little bit of an eyesore. And I think it's like the single jointed elbow. They want the elbow to go all the way back like that. And the single jointed elbow, you're going to get about 90 degrees, if that. So that's a fair criticism. Like, other companies, if other companies can give you double jointed elbows and not compromise the sculpt of the arm and the muscle, then McFarlane can do it, which he is doing it. So but the thing that I don't understand is the hate. Like the scale thing, if you watch that interview that Ty did, and again, I'm not going to wave McFarlane's pom-poms. I don't work for him. I do like his stuff, but I'm not just McFarlane and nothing else. Not even close. Some of it is brought on him because of him. And you can look no further than the Kickstarter thing, which was an overwhelmingly successful. He needed, I forgot what the number was. I think it was 1 million backers on the Kickstarter to make that, because what he's doing is, if you're not aware of it, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people are, is he's taken the classic Spawn that was 5-inch, very basic articulation, and it was supposed to be more articulated, and it was 7-inch scale. Well, he did very well. He went way over the 1 million. He exceeded the expectations and then some. But if you watch that interview, and again, this is why I believe the credibility of these people, Ty addresses that. He said, look, it's his baby. He's being really stubborn. He's not listening to us, because people thought that they were going to get the classic Spawn or the modern Spawn, whatever, with the same articulation as the Mortal Kombat Spawn that just came out.
Right.
That's what they thought they were getting. Turns out that's not really what they're getting. Does he have newer articulation? Yes. He's got the toe pivot. He's got good movement. The problem is, because I'm a backer of that program, so I get the updates. The torso all one piece. The only articulation is at the waist. It swivels. That's it. and maybe rocks a little bit. There's no cut like in the upper torso, like the Mortal Kombat spawn. So people are starting to get a little ticked off about that because that's not what they thought they were getting. So to be fair, McFarlane kind of does bring this on himself, you know, with being late to the game in terms of articulation. For the longest time, he didn't, no, I'm not going to do articulation. It compromises the sculpt. Look, other companies are doing it. If they can do it and pull it off and it doesn't really compromise the sculpt that much, you got to catch up with the times, man. You're falling behind. So he really fought that as hard as he could, and he's doing it right now with the Kickstarter program. And it's like, I get that's your baby. I get that's what you created. But like you're doing with the DC line, you got to listen. That was an overwhelming success. You got way more backing than you thought you would. And he even admitted as much. So now you're kind of pulling back and saying, no, there isn't going to be articulation in the upper torso, which that kid Ty said. He's like, look, it's his baby. We're trying to make him realize that's not a good thing for him to be doing that, because ultimately we paid for it. I'm a backer. We paid for it. And we were led to believe that it would be just like the Mortal Kombat, but just the classic spawn and the modern spawn and so on and so forth. So I guess some of the hatred that he gets and the backlash he gets, I guess you can say that he brings it on himself for being stubborn over the years. So I guess that's a fair criticism. But in terms of the scale for the DC, I don't think that's a fair criticism at all, because that was not up to him.
See, now here's the thing. Me and you have had many discussions before about how, like, you're more of the action figure guy than I am, okay? And you can see behind you, you got a ton of them. You're a fan of the action figures. I like action figures too, but not the same. And one of my biggest complaints that I've always said was that it's the articulation joints. I've always hated it because I always felt like, I guess in that aspect, I agree with McFarlane, where it does compromise the sculpture of the figure, because you can see it, and it takes me out of it. I understand why they're there. I get it. You can pose them and do all kinds of great stuff with them. I get it. But I've never really cared much. That's why as I've gotten older, I've started to favor more of the statues, and like even the cheaper statues, because there is none of that. But that being said, he needs to understand that he is making figures, not statues. And that's what it comes down to. It's like, when he made the sports lines, they didn't really have articulation. I don't think they had any, actually, but they looked fantastic. But the thing is, that was also accepted. Whereas once you start getting into these other lines, you can tell it's not being accepted. People want to move these characters. They want to position these characters. They want them to have articulation. And even though I'm not huge into them, I still bought the DC figures just because it's the fact that I figured that he designed them good enough that I can overlook my bias towards articulation and how it looks on a figure. You know what I mean? So in a way, that's a praise towards him, that he's making somebody like me, who doesn't really like the joints and all that stuff on figures, still buy his product and still accept it for what it is. But in the same sense, he has to realize, like you were talking about with the Spawn, people aren't getting the statues. They are buying figures. If they wanted statues, then you can make statues. Like he's making a brand new Batman on the black and white line, a statue. Thing's amazing. I pre-ordered it. I can't wait for it to come in. That's when you don't want articulation, because it's a statue. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's the thing. Like, I understand what he's saying with the scope, but if people are paying money, you got to deliver. If you're calling this thing a figure, it has to be a figure. It has to be able to move and not just move, it has to look good. That's what people want, right? I mean, you're a big action figure collector. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Well, no, you're right, because they want articulation, but they want it seamless. Like, they don't want it to be an eyesore like Mattel. Their torso was terrible. Like, they would have that hinge in the torso, and it just, they would put no muscle definition. They wouldn't sculpt. They wouldn't blend it in like Hasbro does. They were just lazy. And with McFarlane, he's not lazy with that. I mean, this wave that's hitting this fall, and if you haven't watched it, I know, we're trying to pimp our own channel. but it's a good interview. Go watch Unparalleled Universe's interview with Ty Butler, because he works at McFarlane Toys, he takes photography, and he's in charge of character selection. Pretty sure a lot of people have watched it. If you haven't, go watch it. It's a great interview. He's not waving around McFarlane's pom-poms for him. He kind of took a little jab at McFarlane for being stubborn with the Kickstarter Spawn figures. Because again, and it's not even just a torso, like the choice of the cape. Like when you look at the Mortal Kombat Spawn, right? It's that typical cape that he makes, like he's making around DC figures. It's light, it's pliable, like you can move it around. He's using this big plastic cape that has these hinges on it, kind of like what Play Arts Kai does, which makes the figure back heavy, which you know how much I love that crap. I don't like it. And Spawn fans are saying, look, you're already going back on the articulation in the torso. You're putting on this big plastic cape that has all these hinges. Yeah, great, it articulates. We don't want that. We want like the light pliable capes, because I think personally that's probably why he's not putting the cut in the upper torso, because he knows the figure is going to be heavy because of the cape that he's choosing. McFarlane, if you happen to scroll across this video, do yourself a favor. If you plan on doing, I know it's your baby, man, but if you plan on doing another Kickstarter type project in the future, whether it's other Spawn figures, don't mess this up. You're a talented artist. Your DC line is progressing in the right direction. You're listening to fans and on that side. Listen to the people that want the Spawn figures with updated articulation. Don't be stubborn. You can have both. You've already proven it. Look at the wave that's coming out in the fall. Like, look at those figures. That you can't, it's not an eyesore. The sculpt is there. It's almost seamless. The articulation is there. Double jointed elbows, you know, like double jointed knees. The torso moves, the upper torso, the waist, everything. And those weren't even the final product. It was just the product samples that were painted. That's not even the final. And I was amazed by how well they moved. So you're doing really good job with the DC line. Like I said, I think that the DC line is in good hands with McFarlane. If you don't like the scale, hey man, like I'm sorry, but if you don't like the scale and then you say you're gonna go buy the DC Essentials line, I'm sorry, I'm gonna call it like it is. That's asinine. You're gonna go pay $25 for a figure that comes with nothing. And by the way, the DC Essential line, anybody who owns those figures knows that there's huge problems with the ankle articulation on those figures. The ankle joints on those figures are so loose that they just fall over on the shelf. Now, if you're a person, yeah, and it's $3 to $5 more than what McFarlane's giving you at a lower price point with more accessories. I don't get that. If you don't like McFarlane, that's fine. If you don't like the scale, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. But to say you're going to go with a DC Essentials line when these figures can't even stand up for a long period of time, imagine if you do figure photography with these figures, the Essentials line, like some people do. And I've seen them complain, wow, I did one shoot, I did a bunch of photos. By the time I was done with the figure, it could not stand on its own. And so if you get one of those peg bases, it ain't going to make a lick of a difference. The figure's just going to fall over. So that's just okay. Like, you want to boycott McFarlane because look, it's the criticism. I'm not going to defend him in every area. Just look at the Kickstarter with the Kickstarter program. He's kind of being stubborn with that. So some of it is justified. The scale, no. And as a fan from the DC, I'm a Batman guy first, above everything. You know that. And anybody who watches the first episode already knows that. Watches this episode, it'll be even clearer. I love TMNT, I love Marvel, but it's Batman first and then everything else. So, and another fair criticism I do have to say is, so far the lines that he's made have been very, very heavy on the Batman family. It's called multiverse for a reason. You got to go outside the Batman family. You got to make other characters outside the Batman family, which if you watch that interview, like I did, they are going to be doing that. They're just trying to figure out how they're going to incorporate it into each wave. But they are going to be making figures outside the Batman family, which is good news for people who don't like just Batman. And by the way, I'm going to also say this, and if they don't want to go watch the interview, I will kind of give you like a little spoiler. The feedback that they got on that line that they're going to be releasing in the fall has been through the roof. Okay, and he said if you are excited about that line, wait until you see what we got coming 2021.
Oh, nice. Nice. I can't wait because here's the thing. One thing with McFarlane, he's even done this with the sports figures. He seems to bank on certain people. With the sports figures, I mean, how many different Tom Brady's did he make? How many different Brett Favre's did he make? You know what I mean? He would always have a line where it would have like six athletes, and out of those six, only like one or two were new guys. It was the same 4 or 5 guys, just in a different pose or different colored jersey or whatever. He does that. So when he picked up the DC multiverse license, I kind of knew it was going to be like this, where it was going to be 3 Batmans and like 2 other guys, and then like 2 more different Batmans and 2 other guys. But here's the thing. You can't blame the guy because, one, he picks these characters or these athletes because it sells. Because if it didn't sell, he wouldn't keep making them, obviously. So that's one thing. He knows Batman is going to sell product. So that's one thing. 2, there's plenty of different versions of Batman to go with. It's not like there's a shortage. It's not like he's making the same version of Batman. There's plenty of them. And 3, this is also his first year with that license. He is looking at this, at least my opinion, he's looking at this like, I am going to crank this right out of the ballpark. I want Warner Brothers and I want DC to see that they don't need to go anywhere else. I am going to keep hitting home run after home run, and I'm going to prove it by, you know, if I have to make 2 or 3 Batmans every single series, then so be it. But if I sell 100 million copies of these Batmans, I'm going to keep making Batman. And the other thing, too, the guy is very creative. Like, his thing, I got to give the guy credit. He's only done, this is only his 3rd wave, right? Is it his 3rd wave he's come out with, or 4th wave? I already forgot.
The one that's coming out, I believe, is the 4th wave.
4th, yeah, I think so too. So here's the thing. He's already done different versions of Batman that other companies either didn't touch or they just kind of like danced around. He just straight up hit it right out of the park. His first wave was the typical animated Batman and Detective Batman. That's safe. But then right after that, he goes to White Knight Batman. He goes to Batman Who Laughs. He goes to the Arkham Batman, and now he's jumping into the some of the other ones. So like the Robin, the Kid Robins that are like from the Batman Who Laughs. Like, you don't see too much of that stuff. You'll find basic Batman everywhere, but he's already dancing into all these other territories. And then the first Green Arrow he chooses to do was the one from the TV show. Nothing against the TV show, it's great, but that's the first one he chose to do. He went that way, you know? And I'm giving the guy credit. He's looking at stuff like the Azrael. Dude, that figure, I've seen it a few times in stores. I haven't picked it up yet. It looks amazing. It looks so cool. I didn't even know who the hell that really was until I played the Arkham games. The guy would pop up from time to time. He looks so cool, man. He looks at the figures. He said, or he looks at the character and says, "That would be a good figure for $20. I'm gonna go make it." And it seems to sell. I don't like the Wonder Womans though. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I don't have any of the Wonder Woman figures. They're just not for me. But I mean, if you like Wonder Woman, I can see you going that way. Or even if you're in that, you know, maybe kind of interested, you might get that. But he is not scared. He's doing all these different figures, and I praise him for it. He's just trying to really get it out there. I don't like his Batmobile either. Just want to put that out there. I do not like the design of the Batmobile.
No, I didn't like that one either. But one thing about McFarlane, I agree with you. He's never been afraid to go after those characters that nobody wants to touch. And that's the thing I like about McFarlane. And quite frankly, he's had the license for 7 months. 7 months. He's 7 months into the license. Think about that. Look at the characters he's already made. Look at the home runs. Again, the first wave is probably his first, according to what people have been saying and the feedback that you see on social media. And there's still some people that are hating on the White Knight ones, but not as much. You're seeing less of it because he's listening to people, dude. He's giving them the double jointed elbows. He's improved the sculpt in the torso area where it's more aesthetically pleasing. You can barely see, and some of that wave that's coming out in the fall, you can barely even see where the cut is in the chest. So he's giving you the articulation. He's giving you the sculpt. He's giving you the paint, the better paint apps at the same price that Mattel was giving you. To be honest with you, I don't even know how the hell he's doing it. At $20 a piece, these figures don't look like they're $20. These figures look like they cost a lot more than $20. At least 30 to 35 easily.
That's what's crazy about it, is that he's charging the same price that Mattel was charging. It's I don't know. I mean, me personally, like you had said the comment about that the capes being back heavy and stuff. And the packages, they look great. But I guess if you're setting them up, it's a pain in the butt. But that being said, like I said, the whole reason why I brought that up is because I don't take them out of the packages. So I can't fairly compare them to someone like, for example, NECA. NECA, they're more expensive, but you look at what you're getting, and I don't think I could complain about NECA's prices, just like how I can't complain about McFarlane's prices. But like I said, I don't take McFarlane out, whereas someone who does might say things like the cape's too heavy, or the articulation's bad, or it breaks, and that's why it's on the cheaper end. Maybe, I'm not sure, but from what I'm getting in the package that I get to keep on the shelf at $20, I'm happy. I'm not complaining at $20. I'm not.
You know what?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I might take a little bit of heat for saying this, but at a $20 price point, go look at that wave. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have seen it. That wave that's coming out in the fall at $20. I'm sorry, that rivals NECA. It's not quite there, but that wave right there. And I saw the product in hand, which was even better. When I saw that interview and he held them up to the camera, Ty Butler that works for McFarlane Toys is what I'm talking about. They look even better in hand. And those weren't even the final. They were just painted prototypes. And the final product is probably going to look even better. But it's cheap. It's a little bit cheaper than NECA. The articulation, especially on that line that's coming out in the fall, which they did improve the articulation in the sculpt, and they hid the articulation better. What I saw on those figures, the articulation is actually more fluid. It's a lot easier to articulate the figure than NECA. And the sculpt is not far behind at all, really. And again, at a $20 price point. So I don't know. I mean, some of the criticism, like I said, I think it's fair for people who, again, it's called multiverse. It's fair for the people that are saying, you know what, oh, look, another wave filled with Batman characters. You know, when are we going to see? It's called multiverse for a reason. So that's a fair criticism. The Kickstarter thing with him being stubborn over the years, that's a fair criticism. As far as what you said about leaving him in the package, but if you're McFarlane, you got to understand, not everybody's going to leave him in the package, especially nowadays. People take things out because they want to do figure photography. So when you have, a cape that's that back heavy, that's plastic, that has all those hinges, that's great that you can articulate it and make it look like the cape is fanned out, and that's great. But people don't care about that. They don't want the figure to be back heavy. So now I'm not gonna complain. Look, I've gotten all the updates, and the fact that it's not gonna have that torso cut is not that big of a deal for me, because it has everything else. It's got toe articulation, ankle rocker, ankle swivel. It has double jointed knees, double jointed elbows. It's got everything. The only thing it doesn't have is that one cut in the torso. I can live with that because it's a updated 7-inch classic Spawn. But not everybody thinks like that. So again, he's got to be a little bit like what he's doing with the DC line. That's great. You see the improvement in 7 months. He's done more with that line, in my opinion, than Mattel did in over a decade. Every time Mattel would just they would just force feed you crap. I'm sorry, that's what it was crap. They give you a figure that looked all right. You look at it and go, okay, all right. They're paying attention to what Hasbro's doing, finally. And then they released another wave, and they go, well, you just crapped all over the previous wave. You went right back to the same articulated crap-looking figure that we thought you were done with, and you went right back to it again. So I'm just glad Mattel doesn't have a license. That's it.
The thing is though, with McFarlane with that back heavy, couldn't he, like, to fix that problem? Couldn't you just put some kind of weight at the front of their, like, boots, something to kind of make the figure weigh a little bit heavier in the front to balance it out?
Well, he could make the leg or part of the leg, the lower leg, like die cast, but the thing, and that would kind of like help it stand. But a lot of people,
right?
well, a lot of people don't want die cast because it has problems over time, especially if you're going to do photography with the figures, or if you're the person that goes into your room and you change up the poses all the time. Die cast can be problematic down the road. I haven't had that problem because I don't really, I get a figure, I make sure all the articulation works, I put it on the shelf, and it pretty much stays in that pose. And it's not these crazy poses because I don't have the space for it. And the more dynamic poses you put figures in, the more space you need. And I don't have that kind of space.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, me personally, I'm with you. I'm kind of glad that he's getting a fair shot at it. I like this sports stuff. I like the Spawn stuff. I'm liking the DC stuff. I would love to see. I'm not hoping for Hasbro to lose the Marvel license or anything like that. But I would like to see him do like some Spider-Mans and Wolverines and stuff, because the guy has like he has an eye for just making a figure look cool. It might not balance good or any of that stuff, but like I said, I keep mine in the package, so I don't care about balance and stuff. I just care about how they look in the package. And he usually does a really good job on how they look in that box or whatever, and you can just plop it on the shelf and it looks good. And at a good price point.
Yeah, a very good price point. And let me ask you this: if you're McFarlane, what would you do? You get the license. He's said over the years that he's always wanted to get his hands a crack at making DC figures. He's said that publicly over the years, plenty of times. Yeah. He finally gets a crack at it, and they say, "Well, you can't make 1/12 scale. You're just not going to do it because it's a split license." So what's the next scale you're going to go with? 7-inch, because if you're him, you're looking at, well, NECA does it, Diamond Select does it, DC Collectibles does it. So if I can't do 6, I'm going to do 8.
And you're not going to do 7, yeah. And you're also not going to go smaller. You're not going to do 5 because you're trying to compete with some of these other guys, and you're trying to make it look good. So obviously, if it's bigger, you have a little bit more to play with. You're not going to go and go down to 5 inches, because now people are going to complain, oh, it's a 5-inch figure, and it doesn't look as good. And no, and he still wants $20. At least like this, he has more to play with. It's bigger, so that's one thing he has going for him too. And he can keep it at a price point he's happy with, and the stores are happy with. The only thing is, though, like you were saying about the multiverse thing, it is surprising that we're on wave 4 and we haven't seen like a Flash, an Aquaman.
Wait. There's a Flash in that new wave.
Is there a Flash in the new wave?
And if you watch that interview, and I encourage people to watch that interview after they watch our video, by the way.
Yeah. Finish this video first, guys.
But go watch that interview, because look at the accessories. You'll see the accessories that Flash comes with.
Oh, all right. I saw Red Hood. I saw the Robins. I saw all those guys, but I didn't remember seeing Flash.
No, there's a Flash in there, and there's also a animated Cyborg, and even he looks sick.
All right, cool. Because the thing is, I don't personally care for those characters, but other people do, especially if you're trying to build like a Justice League. You want those other characters to complete that Justice League. I would love to see a Lex Luthor. Let's get him in there. That'd be cool.
Well, here's the thing, and again, if you watch that interview, and it was, you get a lot of good information from it. They are going to be going outside the Batman family, and they're going to be doing that. They're just trying to figure out how to incorporate it into the waves, and so they're going to do it. But the other teaser, they're not sure yet, and I don't want to be quoted. I don't want to misquote anybody else, but he did say that if anybody that collects the McFarlane Fortnite figures, that now you're starting to see those 12-inch figures from Fortnite at the Targets and stuff.
Okay.
And they kind of hinted that they're thinking about doing that with the DC figures as well, which I would love to see that. Because when I look at those Fortnite 12-inch figures, it's wow. And can you imagine a DC figure in that scale from McFarlane? Look what he does with a 7-inch. Imagine
no,
it
people
with,
complain even more.
well, he's got more meat to work with. So obviously the sculpt's going to be better because the smaller the figure is, the harder it is to sculpt it. So I personally think that, but they're not sure yet because again, retail establishment, the shelving, the space that they have, they don't know if they would be able to pull it off if they have room for a 12-inch scale figure. But they are tossing it up, and that would probably be 2021. But they are going to go outside the Batman family. But that's a fair criticism, to be honest. Like, and I'm a Batman first guy, so I'm loving it, by the way. But not everybody. And I do like other characters outside of the Batman family. That's definitely a fair criticism, and I think that he should start addressing that, like he's addressed every other problem. But we'll see what happens going forward. I think the license is in good hand. He's had 7 months. Okay, he has like 3 years, and quite frankly, based on that wave that I see come out in the fall, unless he really goes downhill from here on out, which I don't see McFarlane doing that. I don't see why he would. I don't see why he would lose a license. To be honest with you,
no, I don't think so. The thing is, like I said, me personally, I don't care too much about the other figures either, like Flash and all that. But there are people that do, and I understand why he's going with Batman because Batman does sell. We all know this. Batman things sell. That's why there's a million more, Batman statues and figures and all that than anything else because they sell. So I understand why he's doing it. I'm just excited to see where he's going from there. You know what I mean? He's been doing pretty well, even with characters I don't really care much for. They still look pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I personally got nothing else to add to it. You got anything else you want to add about the topic?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it. Put the blame where it belongs, and that's on Warner Brothers and DC. They're the ones that screwed that up. They really did. Why would you go with Spin Master McFarlane? Either give it to one or to the other. You know what I mean? But then again, DC's known for doing that at the box office, and it hurts me to say that, but it's true. They just make stupid decision after stupid decision. And as a DC fan first, it makes me cringe sometimes, but it is what it is. I think the multiverse line is in very good hands. I would like to add one thing though. I do not work for Super 7, but here's the reaction line. That's the reaction line. You guys can see that good. But these look a lot better in hand. If you grew up, like I'm in my 40s, if you grew up with the G.I. Joe 3 3/4-inch scale and you like that and you grew up with that, that's a very smart marketing move on Super 7, putting the Turtles in that scale because they're actually doing pretty well.
Yeah. It's funny because with those, I've always liked the cardboard back art that they put on those. I think they do a really good job with that. But yeah. Oh, another thing too. Before I forget, I wanted to actually say at the beginning of the video, and I forgot, was just kind of like a quick update on the NECA situation. They are putting in that pre-order for the Tokon Razor for an entire week. And I think that's a great move. I think that's a step in the right direction. I think they're going to see a lot of positivity out of that. I've already been seeing positivity because even when people, the pre-orders went up on Friday, and I saw people on the comments on Twitter, they were like, "We're so thrilled for this. The shipping's a little expensive, but we can live with that. We don't care. We're just happy that we're going to get it." Like it's a completely different situation. Like now you're actually seeing a lot of collectors comment underneath defending NECA and talking positive and saying that they're thrilled about it. I mean, I think this is going to work out. This might be the future of NECA.
There was a lot of people were happy to see that, which that's some of the points that we touched on our first episode. And by the way, if you haven't seen that, go back and check out NECA versus Scalpers, which was our episode of Collector's Thoughts. We touched on that, and there might have been some people that said that we didn't fully understand the license. Kind of pretty much almost laid the blueprint out for them, really. Quantity limits, not only are they doing the pre-orders themselves, it's 1 or 2 per household. If the token does well, they're going to do the super shredder as well, and it's one per household.
Yep.
So it's good to see that NECA's finally listening and trying to address the problem. We know it's not easy, but it's good to see that they're at least putting their best effort forward now and trying to correct the problem. No question about it.
I'm thrilled, man. I watched the interview with Pixel Dan, love his channel, and I was smiling ear to ear the entire interview. I swear it was like he was just answering everything that we had talked about in our video a few days earlier. And it made me happy, man, because it's like, this is what we wanted. We just want a shot at getting these things. You know what I mean? Like, I'm actually going to go put in a pre-order probably tomorrow. I'm going to go put my pre-order in for the Tokon Razor. I want NECA to do good. And like I said, I'm already seeing a huge difference on when they post things online, that it's not just swamped with negativity. There's actually a lot of positivity there where people are starting to defend the company. They're starting to be happy. And they're even asking, hey, are other waves going to come back and do it this way? You know, this is what people want. Man. They just want the product in hand. They love it. They want it in hand. They don't want to bash on NECA. They don't want to be mad at them. So I was very happy to see that they went this way.
They want your product. They want to give you your money. Help them do that. And
right.
He's out the scalpers. And as far as Target goes, they're a real problem. But if you watch that interview with Pixel Dan, like we did, they're working on that. But they did throw a big F-bomb at Walmart because that token
in a nice way.
In a good way, because they pretty much said to Walmart, your website, your .com is gonna screw this whole thing up with the bots. So we're gonna do it ourselves, and it's open for a whole week, and everybody can get there. So you're gonna wait 3 months, but at least you know you're gonna get yours, and that's all that collectors can ask for is a fair shake.
Yep, I will wait 6 months, 8 months. I don't care. Especially guys that buy, actually like yourself, who buy the more expensive high-end action figures. You sometimes have to wait 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, whatever. Yeah. You sometimes have to wait.
I waited almost 2 years. Granted, it was probably because of the COVID, but I waited almost just about 2 years for the Justice League Henry Cavill Superman. So again, it happened.
Yeah, but you know you're getting it. You know it's coming. It's coming in the mail eventually. You know what I mean? Whereas when you don't have that pre-order system, you're going to sit there and you're just going to always wonder if you're ever going to get it. Whereas with this, you will. I mean, I'm not saying for NECA to take 2 years. It's a little ridiculous. But, 6 months is all right, man. If you need that time to get an early pre-order just to kind of get an idea of how many you're going to make, I'm okay with that. That's fine. But at least I know I'm getting it. Whereas, you go out to the store, dude, bring your boxing gloves, man. You might have to start fighting somebody, and you're going to have to do it at like 7 o'clock in the morning. So, another thing I want to say too, guys, we had a lot of great comments in the first video. A lot of people liked our video, and they left some really great comments. But we couldn't respond to all of them. For some reason, some of the comments didn't show up on our end. So I don't know if it's because you guys have a private account or if you're, whatever. But we read the comments. I would screenshot it and send it to Real Batman so you can take a look at it. And they were great. And I wanted to reply, but I couldn't because some of the comments just weren't, we weren't able to.
I think it was just one person, but that's something that we can't control. But we want to I get why you're doing it. We want to put it out there. Dude, we read your comments. We appreciate the support. And you want to keep your account private. We respect that. But nonetheless, we appreciate support. And we wanted to give you a shout out and for all the kind words that you had to say about our first episode. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. We just don't want you to think we're ignoring you, dude, because we're not. We couldn't reply. We tried, both of us, and we couldn't. But the first episode was a success. A lot of people seem to like it. This is our second one now. And this will probably be going forward. We'll try to keep it every Saturday and just keep going. Collect the thoughts and then, whatever the topic is that day. If you guys have a certain topic you want us to talk about, let us know too. That'd be cool. I mean, we're open for that. Let us know what you guys think.
Yes, absolutely. We're up for ideas. Let us know what topic you'd like to see us talk about. Absolutely. Put it in the comments. Yep.
And also let us know what you guys think about this topic. Did you like McFarlane? Do you like Mattel better? Do you have another company you wish would get the license? what's McFarlane, doing right, what they're doing wrong, let us know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But all right, man. So that's it for me. Anything else to say, bud?
I'm good.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and take care. Thank you.